E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Loren Michaels Harris, and I'm here today with a burning question just for you. Be honest, have you spent hundreds of dollars trying to get your message on the stages? Perhaps you've paid for coaching that took you absolutely nowhere. Well, guess what? We're going to change all that. If you answered yes, I'm here to help you. Back when I first started, it took just one short year, and I was able to write the book on how to get paid for your message. Now, I'm taking it one step further. After hundreds of paid speaking engagements, that's right, hundreds, I'm here to show you how you can do the same thing. Interested? So listen, if you're ready, I mean truly ready, to change the world through your story, then do yourself and the world a favor. Sign up for this 90-minute webinar. I promise you, you will not regret it. It's going to change your life. Get in here. It's a hot one today. Seriously, you might want to call Ray, Cousin Pookie, Aunt Aisha, everybody. Because today we're going to talk with the experts. They're here. A couple new ones. Well, not so new. One of them isn't. But one is brand new. So be nice, y'all. And we have the regulars that have been here for a month of Sundays coming in today. The hot topic. Oh, where are my manners? Good morning, beautiful people. Right. I'm all excited. I can't get that excited. But I can say I'm glad we're here because together, when we do this sort of thing, we are fulfilling one of the greatest promises. We're proving that it happens, that when we come together with that mindset, that heart set, that spirit of togetherness, just trying to ease some suffering in the world and have a little fun along the way. Well, spiritual magic is the outcome. So there's the bell of purpose. And I also want to say, I'm so glad you're here. Can I get an amen? There's one. I'll kick it off. Put in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let us know. Who do you know that's on the expert panel today? Because here they are, brand new, first time here. We have Andrea Harrison. We also have Joel J.D. Tyson, who's been here a couple times. New baby, 6 months old, so that's why he hasn't been here. And the Oracle of Apollo, back from her nomadic existence on the road. And Tracy Randolph, the reset coach, grinning from ear to ear. Why is she so happy? We're going to find out. And rounding it out, fitness guru. Okay, Emily Nader is here. And I'm here, Dr. Loren. So glad you guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Everybody okay? Let's do this. We're going to let everybody have 30 seconds because, our hot topic today is the road to the White House. And then I'm going to show a little clip just to get our juices flowing. It's nice. It's like a little anthology, if you will, ties up a bunch of the stuff from the last couple months in a couple minutes, and then we can talk about it. So, but first, welcome, Andrea Harrison. Why don't you take a minute and just tell everybody who you are, what you do. I know you have a show every day, Monday through Friday, just like I do. So hats off to that. That's not easy, but it sure is. It fulfills the soul, doesn't it?
Yes. First, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Loren, for having me back. I'm really excited to be here with you this morning. Not quite sure why you chose me for this topic, but you must see something in me that maybe I don't see in myself quite yet. But I am the Show Up strategist and also the Chief Shine Officer of Shine with Andrea. I'm very passionate about people showing up for themselves, for their assignment, and for the community that they serve. So I'll be talking about this from that perspective.
Awesome, thank you. And again, welcome to the Expert Show. New father Joel JD, how are you?
I'm doing good. With me, it's just my whole perspective is actually completely different than most of yours because I'm from Canada. And so I don't have any one way or the other. I've got no allegiances. And so it's going to be really fun to kind of sit here and see where you guys all sit on this. And I really, other than that, I'm a business owner, and I'll just leave it at that because there's not a whole lot
what I want to know, Joel? I want to know I know how y'all laugh about us when it comes to this election and stuff. Did you hear what they did over there in the States today? Oh my God, I was so right. So we're going to get that perspective. I'm looking forward to it. Glad you're here. Thank you. I know with the new baby, it can't be easy to make everything, but we appreciate you. So
when I can, I'll be there.
Of course. Oracle, I don't know where you've just recently been, but we're glad you're back. Tell everybody how you're doing.
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. I'm the Oracle. I am a spiritual advisor, Reiki integrated energy therapy master instructor, and psychic medium. And I've been around the world, and I can't find my face.
I'm just saying, we don't own rights to that song. And Lisa Stansfield, don't be trying to get paid for her singing that here. Just saying. You never know. Well, we're glad you're back. Good to see you here today. Tracy, how are you, Reset Coach?
I am doing fine, thank you.
Where are you? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. I am in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina, originally from New Jersey. So I'm when it comes to this topic, I have two different sides here from experience of living in New Jersey and now living in North Carolina. But I am also known as the Reset Coach, and life has been changing. And I was just thinking this morning, you just got to keep pushing. You have to keep going. And I always do it with a smile. So you ask me why I'm smiling. I'm going to smile through everything, no matter what's happening.
I bet you weren't smart. Did Jordan go back to school yet?
Not yet. Not until Monday.
Okay, well, what day is that happening?
Monday.
We'll bring you back on Monday, see if you're smiling.
Okay.
Her son goes to his senior year.
He's a senior.
So,
yeah, he's a senior.
She's one of those ones, but he's still a baby. Empty nesters. Oh, no, somebody ought to do something with that. I'm telling you, that's a lane. And Emily Nader, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah. It's been a lot of up and down for me a little bit here, but I'm up now.
Okay.
I'm up and awake.
Yay. Well,
yay.
We're glad you guys are here. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, and that's why one of the reasons I'm so glad to see Joel here, because he's neither. and he's got a perch that none of us is privy to, an outsider looking in. But it is something to talk about. You know, a lot of freedoms are tied to that place, WH. We've seen all kinds of things in the last few years, especially post-COVID, that we thought we'd never see, or maybe some did. The reversal of Roe versus Wade, to name one thing, and just all kinds of things go on that, you know, aren't really that sexy to talk about. And then we've been warned, two things you don't talk about: politics and religion. But I think that means that we really need to talk about them more. I wonder who spread that rumor. You know, don't talk about it. So we're gonna. And to set things up, I found a little something that I thought we could listen to just a couple minutes, and we'll hear some things, hopefully, that will. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I was like, where is it? Everything's moving slowly here. Here we go. Take a listen.
So I went back the other day, a couple of days ago, and listened to one of my favorite conservative podcasts called The Editors. It's done by National Review.
Donald Trump speaks and speaks and speaks some more. Joe Biden teeters and JD Vance arrives. We'll discuss all this and more on this edition of The Editors. I'm Rich.
And I went back and listened to the pod they put out just after the RNC, the Republican National Convention, and the tone was astonishing.
I've been here in Milwaukee all week. I will say it's the most unified and upbeat convention I've ever experienced.
The discussion then was, is this race over? And they felt that Biden, who was then still the Democratic nominee, was dead in the water, that Trump could sweep a landslide.
I was at an event yesterday where a really well-placed Trump person who's going to have a high-level position in the White House, there's no doubt about it, was just saying there's a spirit, you know, God is looking over Donald Trump and looking over what we're doing here, and everyone in the room absolutely believes that.
You felt then this thing is not over, but Trump's way ahead. The polls had him way ahead, and a sense that all the momentum and energy was with them. And so it's remarkable, really, that here we are barely 4 weeks later, and it's almost a completely different perspective from which we're looking at the race.
Okay, there it is. Here we are with a totally different perspective. So I'll start by asking this burning question. Joel, of course, we don't expect you to raise your hand because we don't want the feds coming and picking you up for voting over here. But who on the screen, how many of us voted in the last election? Right, by show of hands. Oh, Oracle. On purpose, or you just couldn't get there?
Well, here is the catch-22 on that one. I actually work the polling place every election, so I just don't leave. I can't vote where I'm working at because it's not my district, but I just don't leave, and I just don't go because I just don't feel like it. I don't believe in our system, but I do help with the polling day.
As my grandmother Callie would say, what in the world?
Well, I get a paycheck for the day, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay, here we go. So, okay.
Loren, can I ask a question, Dr. Loren?
Yes.
Why don't you believe in the system?
Why don't I believe in a system that is designed and caters to our fear, that is designed to belittle one another, that is something that's created to say, look how bad this person is. I am holier than thou. I am better than this person. And it's based off of just throwing trash at one another. Mm-hmm. And then unfulfillment at the end of it. It's like if I had two suitors and they both were in front of me and they're just going, you see this guy's a turtle jerk. Well, this guy's an even bigger jerk. Do you think I'm going to walk away with either one of those two men? Absolutely not. Because neither one is authentic nor transparent.
Yeah.
No, so I agree. I agree with you on that. And that I think you're completely correct on that. But I think that maybe the problem is actually within the hearts of the people in the country, and not necessarily with the people on stage. Because if the people on stage were actually a reflection of, they should be a reflection of the people, of what the people want.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, when we're, and I'm just going to talk about me for a second because I'm not going to accuse anyone else of doing this, but a lot of us, when we're in competition, the first thing we look at is, why am I better than them? What makes me better than them? And so that's just the heart of who we are as people. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack. I was just kind of,
No, it makes perfect. I like that. I like that. And anybody, Tracy, you look like you. And Andrea, I see. I see you working up a response. I see it. But you guys just, stick your finger up in the air, and we'll pause and let you in. So I don't have to call on people. Tracy, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both sides of it. To Joel's point, though, I just want to say, we have to get to a point where we're making a difference in order to actually be able to put the people that are at the heart of the people in position to be able to be voted for and chosen by the people. That's not happening in this system. So then I go back to Dominique's side and agree with her on that too. So how do we balance it out so that we can put the people there that are the right people for the job, for the people of the country?
Okay, well, I can address one of those because for the very first time in the past couple years, I have agreed to place political signage on our property.
Ooh.
And attended for the first time, and I'm 62, first time attended some of the events and things leading to people being chosen, actually going and hearing not just one side, both sides. So I went to Democratic ones and I went to Republican ones because I'm not looking. It was like, and I'm going to tell you why I feel this way. I was wrongly accused once, and I'll never forget how when I was exonerated, I was outside. I still had the tether on my foot, and we were taking pictures, and the newspaper came up. And they said, how does it feel that you were exonerated by 12 people who were not peers? They were jury that were not your peers, not one person of color, da 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 da. And I was like, what are you talking about? They may not have been of color, but they were of the color where they could hear the truth when they heard it. That's the 12 I needed. They don't care what color they are, as long as they know the ring of truth when they hear it. So I take that and lay it on top of what we're talking about here. How many of you out there are willing, and Joe, you can chime in too because you're watching it from afar. How many of you really give both sides a fair chance? And I'm using the fair chance term loosely, but I'm saying, do you look at both sides of the aisle looking for who could do a better job, or do you just vote straight party? Emily, you look scared to answer that. Oh, maybe not. Put me in my place then. Okay, Emily, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't necessarily, I know they make you choose like a party affiliation when you do register to vote. However, I feel the way that I like to, well, not even just in politics, but in anything, when there's like a decision being made or choosing or voting between a couple of people, it's like, yes, who is going to be the best person for the job? I like to listen to or understand like whatever each person not even has to say, because I feel like especially in such a I'm trying to figure out what word to use for this, because this is such on like a huge scale where it also feels like, even though there's a lot that could be said, it's like how much of it is honest, and like, what do I believe, and then it's like, how do I believe based on actions in these scenarios, and then just looking at the track record of like whoever is on the stand. But just, yes, it's kind of fast forwarding. It's like, okay, well, what is our future going to look like if this person is in charge or this person is in charge? And then trying to see, what would be best for like the majority of people. I feel like it's so hard to make it great for everyone, because that's not one person's job. That's our individual jobs. I
Yeah.
feel like, to take care of ourselves. But then, of course, like there's policy and all that stuff makes it
There is.
more aggressive.
Let me jump in and ask this question. Thank you, Emily, for that. Anybody here in your families where you have people on both sides? It reminds me of COVID, vaxxed and unvaxxed, when we had 2-3 houses for the holidays. Which house you going to? Right? And just cray. It was just cray. So do any of you have family members or loved ones or people within your sacred circle in the front row seats of your life that sit on both sides of the aisle? Anybody? I do. And I mean extremists. On the one side, we have we have a couple patriots, and yes, and wait. Oh, they are the white members of my family. Oh, well, hadn't thought of it like that. Wait. Ding. I didn't say I was the brightest light bulb. I'm just glad to be one. So I'm going to say this. Does anybody though deal with that? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like you just can't go there because all the theories and this and the other, and there's so much stuff. They
take it personal.
It
becomes a personal thing. Mm-hmm. It becomes more about you're attacking my personal beliefs or you're attacking me for my beliefs and my choice. And we can't seem to separate ourselves from the things that we choose the same way we separate ourselves from the things that I wear. Like, True. It's such a personal thing.
Look at Joel. Yes. Go on, Joel.
To me, it's a lot of sitting there going, we need to have these hard conversations. Because it's like, with me, my personal beliefs don't match up with everybody's. However, we were built on the idea of having these hard conversations and looking for truth and not taking that personal. So it's like when I sit there and I look at my friends who are American and they're either Democrat or Republican, it's like, if they can't talk to each other, that's the bigger problem right there. Mm-hmm. Because they sit there and go, I have this opinion, and it's really close to my heart. But if what I'm believing isn't true, then it doesn't really, I have to be open to look for the truth, not just look for my opinion to be validated.
Yeah. A good point, Joel. Really great point.
Right there.
And I mean, but really, this reminds me too of what you hear me say about words without actions. And what I mean by that is it's easy for us to point the fingers and say this, that, and the other. But if you show up, even if you're one of the few that shows up to vote once every 4 years, what about the stuff that needs to happen in between?
So much.
It's like people that, you see on Facebook, ooh, so-and-so is sick, and so please looking for prayers from, and then you see a whole bunch of prayer hand emojis and stuff, and somebody will say, praying, done. And I often wonder, because I was guilty of it until the Holy Spirit said, do it again and see what happened, which was, I'd be like, done, ain't whispered one syllable of a prayer. Just going through the motions, words with no actions to back them up. So there is an accountability factor. You can't complain about something that you're not trying to make better. You can, but what's the purpose? So I want to ask you all this, because we have Joel from Canada. We have Andrea, a woman of color. Dominique, a woman of color, Latina. We have Tracy, a woman of color. And we have Emily. How do I say it? Is it Emily, Middle Eastern?
I'm just like a kind of a mutt.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a mixture of a bunch of things.
Okay, but mainly,
yeah, I guess Middle Eastern, Hawaiian.
Oh, okay. So again, a woman of color. And then you have me. Some everything. Really. So
you're the whitest guy here, Loren.
So well, you have black man, but you're also
from I beg to differ.
Right? But here's the question. Do you believe that the world, now not just the United States, but the world is ready for the first woman of color president? Or is it too soon after Barack and Michelle and, Do you think people are really ready for it?
Is
And
the
the
world
reason I ask this is because I'm just saying somebody tried to shoot Trump. You know what they always do when they're not ready for something? They get scared and this and the other. How do you guys feel? Do you think we're ready for Kamala?
Can I actually take it another direction? Answer your question, but in a different direction.
Yeah, y'all know Joel is a minister, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, Joel's a
that's
minister.
FYI, I'm a pastor.
Yeah, he's a pastor. So I'm gonna be like,
but I'm not gonna but I'm gonna take it. So in Canada, we have our two parties. We've got the Conservative Party and we've got the Liberal Party. That's the names of the parties. And the Liberal Party is very much like the Democrat Party. And just to kind of tell you where it sits, and the Conservative Party is very much like the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
So the Conservative Party, or I'm gonna just call them Republicans, just so it's easy for you guys to know. The Republican Party had their primaries where they were looking for who was going to lead the party, and there was 3 people, and the one was a black woman, and the other 2 were old white guys. Okay, and the part of the country that was actually looking for that they figured would be racist and against the black people, actually they were the part that voted for the black woman because she aligned with their values. And it was the place. It was this urban centers that actually aligned with the old white guys. And so I don't believe it's a matter of color or gender. I believe it's a matter of matching values. And so if Kamala Harris was to match the values of the majority of the U.S., yes, the U.S. is ready. The world is ready for a woman of color to be president. But if she doesn't match the values, or if she doesn't have that strong value that says this is what I believe and I'm going to stand on this, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It does. With one minor little omission, I don't believe Canada ever owned slaves. There weren't slave owners there, were there?
There were slave owners all over the world.
There were in Canada? Did they have black? Oh, because we ran there, so I know they wasn't slaving us.
Yeah, the end of the Underground Railroad ended in Toronto.
Yeah, but wasn't that freedom?
Yes, no, they had freedom. I don't know the history well enough to really be considered an expert on this.
Why I said that, Joel, was because it's a little different here. There's still a lot of racism in this country. There is still a lot of, and I'm just going to say privilege, because there's white privilege, black privilege, hetero privilege, Protestant privilege, whatever, depends on where you're at trying to exert it. Mm-hmm. You see, I can get away with stuff in Chicago. I better not go to Tupelo, Mississippi trying to pull, Tracy. And then Andrea, I know you sitting over there on a gold mine of insight. So we're moving upstairs to you right after Miss Tracy. Tracy.
Yeah, I just want to say something too about that. And I'm going to say this at an individual level, potentially the country is ready for a black female president, right? But because we have those systems, and because the United States, and I can't speak about any other country, but right, because the United States is so dependent on the corporate structure, and I'm just going to put that out there, and their influence on our politics, this country is probably not ready for a black female president from that perspective. And I just wanted to open that conversation up because a lot of corporations have so much influence on what happens in this country. So we're not looking at what the individuals need because we have things like lobbyists who are pushing their own agendas and they have the money to back it, right? And that's what we're driven off of. And we can say, 10 times over what the people need, but that's not necessarily what's happening here in this country when it comes to politics. So I wanted to put that part out there as well.
Thank you. Good point. Anybody want to respond to what Tracy just said?
I think she's completely correct on that. I do. But I don't think it's just politics. The lobbyists have their fingers everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have anything to add to what Tracy's saying, but I do want to say, based on this topic, I think it is irrelevant what we think we're ready for. I think it's completely irrelevant because change is a natural order of progression. we have to be uncomfortable with new things. We have to be willing to go into the unknown, and we'd have to be willing to accept that there is something outside of the reach of the known, that there's something outside of what we can even anticipate. It just has to happen in order for us to expand and grow as a collective. So that, because there's so much division, there's so much divisiveness among ourselves, that the more that we can adapt new ideas, the more that we can be flexible, is how we're going to grow as a population that will then ripple outward and affect everything around us. It's like the mother who is a first-time mother, she can only be prepared to a limit in her mind, but once that moment arrives and all the tribulations that come with it, you can't guess your readiness level for that. You just have to go through it. And I think that's the place that we're at.
I agree with you so much on that point. And the reason I say that is because when my husband and I had our child, when they rolled me out of recovery and rolled me into the room, and I saw them bring the baby in, I was like, wait, hold up. What are we doing? Right? What are we doing? I'm like, I just got out of surgery. I need to recover. I'm tired. I need to recover. And they were like, yeah, we need to bring you your child. This is what happens next. And I'm like, well, hold on. This is the paralegal in me now. Hold on. Where's the manual? I need to read the manual. I need to understand what is expected of me. What am I supposed to do? And they're like, there's no manual. And so I think, as someone who is very passionate about showing up, I think the most important thing in this conversation is that people need to know that they need to show up. They need to show up at the polls, and they need to make their choice, whatever their choice is. And with that, I think that we need to have a level of respect for each other. I don't understand in this cancel culture, whatever happened to let's agree to disagree. Like, it's totally thrown out the window, but I think it's so important that we show up, we align with our beliefs, our values, our morals. We align with that. We vote and continue to show up, not just like you said in the comment section, pray and don't pray. Continue to show up in our communities, making a difference in our communities. There are things that we can do. There are things that we can do personally in our own communities with the children that are coming up, so that, I think that is the most important thing to me, that people know that, I believe in the democratic process. We have the power of choice. It doesn't exist everywhere. Right? And we should pay attention to who we believe can be the change for us. Right. Whoever that is for you. But you can't, my mom used to say, you cannot complain about anything that you tolerate.
And people need to be more willing, in my opinion, to challenge things. When things, something got overturned, people had, you should have been out there making sure the grout was still in place around that tile. How you going to complain about it? You just because somebody did the heavy lifting doesn't mean you have to put a new foundation or bolster it from time to time if you want to keep something in place. So to your point, Andrea, absolutely right. Now, I just want to hit this real quick from Tara. She said, at the end of the day, when it comes to running this country, so much of self, amen, all capitals there, has been injected into a process that was initially supposed to be designed to protect the people. Just like churches, we have all these parties that believe in different principles and policies, but somewhere the people of who all this was created to work for gets lost in the cracks of government foolishness. Exactly what Tracy just said, and I agree. So I want to bring this up. How many of you live, and including you, Joel, if you were to point to, let's say, the 12 houses closest to yours, okay, depending if you're in a cul-de-sac or a street or however it's configured, the 12 houses closest to yours, How many of you know at least two of the people that live in those houses I just described? Okay. Now, how many of you have talked to people that live outside of your community, your immediate community, and all of you out there, I want to hear you sound off in the comment section. How many of you talk to other people with pride regarding the diversity in the area in which you live? Andrea, you said no? Okay. So, and I get it. Most everybody does, because I'm like, well, there's an Indian family across the street. We're the gay couple, and I'm black, and he's white. The Spanish people live in the corner in the biggest house on the block. We have the renters down there, and that's how they're referred to, the only house that has renters. And it's just amazing. And I'm always listening to, and then you have, you know what I'm saying? But we don't talk to each other about things that matter. We might have a block party every 2 or 3 years, and everybody brings a dish, and the kids playing the sprinklers and blah, blah, blah. But how many of you know what's important to the people living right there? Say, for instance, you had to come together because something was going on. Like a lot of countries now, when a bomb comes in or a missile, and people they know how to get to each other. We don't have any of that in place. So really, what kind of infrastructure do you all think we're working with? Anybody?
So I don't know. I can't say for everybody here, because I think within a 3-mile radius, you got different infrastructure, no matter where you are across the country, and it's a very diverse country. But I know that with us, we have, like, any one of the homes in my area, we know our neighbors, we know who they are. We haven't talked about them. We've talked about religion. I can't say I talk politics, because that's not my field of expertise. And frankly, I don't know anything really about it, especially the American system. But with us, it's like, if I needed help, I know I could talk to any one of my 5 neighbors, any one of the 5 houses in my immediate vicinity, to ask for help. And it wouldn't even make me blink.
Right. And see, a lot of us will talk. How many of you in the last month have mentioned the high price of groceries or gas when it goes up? Oh, you see gas almost $5. Everybody say that, but nobody questions, well, why is that? What's going on? What's driving that? And just let it happen. Somebody else's problem.
I think the times have changed a little bit. For me, when I was growing up in the Bronx, I could tell you right now, I could see each and every house. I could tell you the name of each and every person that lived there. I could tell you probably a little bit about the family. I could let you know if they had kids or they didn't have kids. And of course, I was, that's where I was. I was born over there in the Bronx, right? So I knew my family, my neighbors. Mm-hmm. Some of them felt like family to me. That was back in the day when you could actually go and hang out at somebody's house. Like, our daughter, we never did sleepovers or anything like that, because times have changed. I think now it's more surface. At least, in my experience, we know when somebody's sick. We look out for each other, if you leave the door open or your dog gets out, and, things like that. It's kind of waving from the mailbox, like, hey, how's everything? But as far as like talking politics, and talking religion, I think faith is different from religion. Yeah. I'll talk faith all day, but religion, no. Politics, no. But maybe the price of milk and eggs and gas,
inflation
seems to be
that's not politics. Concern. Inflation,
right? I'm just saying, I think it's very surface nowadays, the conversations that we have, even when we're not talking about religion and politics. I think it's very surface, the conversations and the relationships, and people don't really take the time to get to know each other and understand each other. The minute you say something that someone doesn't like, you're canceled. That's it.
Right. Now, I think it's important to say, just throw it out there, that's another thing. I mean, politics doesn't mean just when there's an election and people are running and the signs and things are out. It's like, what about we need a light down there at that corner? There's been 5 accidents in the last 7 months. What are we going to do? Go around, and people get so dismissed when somebody knocks on your door and says, I have a petition, or you're out shopping and they say, I need a signature. Those are people that are at the ground zero level, out there doing what needs to be done, bringing it to our attention. And I have to force myself to stop my shopping and really listen to them. And it's surprising to me how many times, I'd say all of them actually, that my husband and I will be there and I'll sign and I'll automatically turn to give him the thing. And he'll, oh, no. And I'll be like, oh. And then we leave and it'll be like an hour later, like, so what was the issue with the petition? And it makes me think how little we really talk in the house. So, Joel?
But I think there's really, I want, like, just going off what you were saying, Dr. Loren, is that we have a community, and community now isn't the same it was 10 years, 15, 20 years ago. Because if I'm going to show up, just think how many of us could show up at your friend's house, someone you actually know and care about, without it being announced, without texting first, and you would be actually welcomed. How many of you have actually shown up at a friend's house without announcing yourself first?
Oh, Lord, no.
Yeah, Emily, that's 2 of us out of 6 that will just show up at a friend's house without announcing ourselves. And just because that's what community is. Community is, hey, I didn't announce myself, but I'm in the area. I just want to stop by and say hi, tell you I love you, etc., etc. Just catch up quickly.
Sarah says she has.
See, but it's like but that level of community, that's what we crave. Yet all of us are too scared to actually do it. Okay, I want to text because I don't want to waste 10 minutes to drive over there. And so it's that level of community. And then when we have that community, Dr. Loren, that's when someone will accept you with a petition, you're like, oh, this is someone I can trust. Okay, let's take a quick look. Okay, yeah. I'll sign that. But when it's someone you don't know that isn't part of your community, you have to find a way into a community in order to get anything done.
This is true. I want to put this up here. Dr. Lynn, so glad to see you. Dr. Lynn Hurdle-Price, you guys from the Bronx, New York. And she and her son are actually conflict resolution specialists. And they have a show on the network entitled Working It Out Across the Generations. So she knows a little bit about, nice way to get that shameless plug in, Dr. Lynn. I see it. She goes, we are not good at conversation with our neighbors, family, or friends, especially when we don't think that we agree. I say think, because when we learn to really listen, it is a skill. We can find that we don't disagree on everything, or even the things that we think we disagree on. This is why my son, Justin, and I host our show, Working It Out Across Generations. Absolutely right. And I was so glad to see you in here today, Dr. Lynn. And so I want to ask each person that, as we have about 10 minutes left, and I really want to hear what you think. So take it from here. Joel has, as we mentioned at the top of the hour, a 6-month-old child, a daughter. So imagine, for those of you who have children and for those of you who don't, but no children, a niece, a nephew, or whatever, imagine the child that you love unconditionally. And then think about the world they will inherit 50 years from now. And I want you to tell us, what is that snapshot? When you glanced over there, what was it you hoped to see through your spirit's eye? So who wants to start with that one? Okay.
I was going to say I'll start just because
Tracy,
I want to talk about what Joel was mentioning about community and how we don't create that anymore. I come from New Jersey. In New Jersey, everything is done by town. So like everybody in the town, we really knew each other, right? I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's a county thing, but it's huge, right? So I'm having a little more trouble. It's a little more challenging to find community and build community. But I would hope that our kids get back to that at some point, that we start building communities again, because I feel like back when I was growing up, we were thriving as people living in communities, and we came together and we could walk down the street and knock on anybody's door or walk in or go in anybody's backyard and join their barbecue, or and we need that because I found that when I was growing up, we all band together. So if something was going wrong with any family, we all came together to make sure that they got what they needed. So I would hope that our kids can get back to that somehow. Or, maybe we can start to teach them that, because I'm trying to figure that out now here in North Carolina. It's not the same as where I came from. So it's like, maybe we can get back to that so that they can come together, right? And do things together that are going to make a difference so that we can get to where we need to be when it comes to the road to the White House, the road to the school system, the road to, local politics, the road to, because we have to start there. We can't do everything on a national level or a worldwide level if we don't start from the smaller parts of our communities. So if we can get back to what Joel was talking about, then we can start to have that ripple effect as it continues to go up in the structures and then get potentially to the national level.
I agree. Great insight there, Tracy. Thank you so much. Oracle?
Well, considering that I'm nomadic, I just hop from community to community to community. And what I've learned so much from living in such diversity. It's astonishing in such a short period of time. But my snapshot of that is that there's a lot of things already in place that are very beautiful, very connected. These stories that are passed down in front of fires and morals that are passed down in front of fires at night where there isn't any electronics and we're all off grid, being very mindful and cognizant of the resources that we're using, the things that we're consuming, and and how we're interacting with people. And that has always been in place. Maybe it's a vast minority, but I don't see that just vanishing. And it's not that it doesn't exist, it does. I think we should challenge ourselves in how we can co-create with other people and how we can, and especially in urban environments, like when I'm back home in Philly, how we can continue creating that in our surroundings that we're in. And it doesn't just have to be in these very secluded areas, but it does exist. And in my snapshot of my world is taking that from what you learn, taking those seeds and those kernels, and then even if you're surrounded by the concrete, finding a little crack in the sidewalk to plant the seed.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you for that. Joel?
I agree a lot with what I'm sorry, you say the Oracle, I can't remember your name, but a lot with what the Oracle said. Dominique, thank you. I'm so sorry. But a lot of that is what she said. She was talking about kind of taking away the electronics, because we substituted electronic connection for real connection, and we expect to have the same connection, and you don't. Right. And so for me, it's a lot of it of sitting there going, okay, I have to build a community where I'm at. And a lot of people, when you get too close, they get scared and they run away. And it's okay. It's okay. Some people, their fear runs them. And so when I look at my future, the future that I want for my kids, for Natalie, is I want them to be growing up in a community where they actually know what connection looks like. And some people, when you start teaching this, some people run away. Some people stay because they realize it's what they're craving, but it's always uncomfortable to learn this, because you're actually learning to be vulnerable and let people in to that part of you that's scared. And you have to let people into that so you can grow. Yeah. And that's where community starts. And if you're not willing to let people in to you so that you can grow, then you're never going to have that connection, that intimate connection with your neighbors or your church or whatever community you're so closely surrounded with. Because that's where this starts, is that little bit, just like what Tracy and Dominique were saying. And for me, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting with sitting there going, okay, I'm gonna hang out with people who have strong personalities that have different opinions than I do. And I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna have conversations and I'm gonna let them in, even though that it might scare me in certain capacities. I'm gonna let them in and we're gonna have conversations, and then we're gonna actually create community around the hard conversations instead of trying to bring the hard conversations into our shallow community.
Right. Perfect. Love it. Who wants to go next? Andrea, Emily, Tracy, did you go yet? Okay, you kicked it up, Andrea.
I think I totally agree with what everyone is saying, especially, Tracy, when she said she grew up in New Jersey. I grew up in New York City. I think that building relationships is something that is very important. And, you really can't speak into someone's life unless you have a relationship with them. They're not going to receive it. And I think that, that's what we had back in the day that I was talking about earlier, is we had community. We knew what was going on in each other's lives. We were able to just run over to so-and-so's house without calling first. And I think for my daughter, a lot of our friends, often laugh at myself and my husband and say, we're so old school. We're old school parents. And I'm proud of that. Because the way that we brought up our daughter, we brought her up to love, to respect people, to, build relationships, to not just be superficial. And so my hope is that, she can continue to carry that carry that into her future, for her children, for her generation. And I hope to see more of that, because I think that's very important. We've got to get away from this.
Yeah.
And we have to do more of this.
Yeah.
And so we have displayed that for her. We've shown her what that looks like. We are the ones, the parents. We set the examples, and so I think that by us setting those examples, talking about the things that are important, making sure to reiterate, how we should love one another, right? I think those are the things that our kids will be able to carry into the future and create their own communities, and set the tone and set the example. That's my hope. That's my hope. I have complete faith that one day we'll get back to the basics.
I agree. I'm with you on that one. Thank you, Andrea. Emily, wrap it up on that side, and then I'll close us out.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of what Andrea said is kind of what I wanted to talk about too. Just we create our own culture and we create our own community within whoever's around us. So that's our responsibility. There was a period of time where I felt like I was personally isolating myself, not maybe a little bit on purpose, maybe a little bit on accident, but it didn't feel good. And then, I started to put myself out there and really start to make new friends in my area, saying hi to everybody that I walk by, and creating, just more of a life that I wanted to have, like community. And I think that's important. Especially with my family, what's nice is a lot of the values have been passed down to us that we're passing down to the next generation in our family. So then that way we can continue like the culture, at least within our family, that we want to have and that we want to see. And that especially is revolved around like relationships, like face to face, and having that like that human interaction, that human connection. But I really think that all the maybe not all that we can do, but a lot of what we can do is have our values passed down, and help others see like close to us like what's important, and hopefully that they find that important enough to continue to carry on. And a lot of that, I think, as well as something that I remind myself often, is to try to listen more than I speak, because a lot of people that reject or have maybe adversity to other ideas, maybe they just don't feel like they're being heard, or maybe they're just projecting things that they've heard and haven't really felt safe to express like an opinion of their own. So I feel like listening and asking questions, so then that way we can have a conversation, and at least if one of us in the conversation is working to understand and listen, then hopefully it's not just arguing with each other, but it's understanding.
There it is. There it is. Blessed are the peacemakers, y'all. Listen, give away a little piece of what you've learned here today. That way your cup is running over. That is what you want, not your cup runneth out. And so remember that. I want to thank all of you for showing up today and for pouring into each other and all of us, and as well as those who are watching today and later on the replay. Listen, I want us to remember this. It was entitled today, The Road to the White House, but really the conversations that we've talked about having and continuing, or maybe even just starting a spark of today, not to lead something to the White House, but to lead it to the right house. And that is the house that you lay your head in. Start there. Start there. Look for one E and one R and push it up to everything around you that is already great and take it greater. Everything that's already nice and make it nicer. Already bold and make it bolder. You get the way it goes, right? Just do that so that the next day you wake up, it will have moved in front of you, that E and that R, and you will be refreshed, replenished, renewed, revived, and remembered to what this life is truly all about. Your soul is thirsty. Find a way to quench it today. It's called easing suffering in the world. God bless you. Listen, Dr. Loren out. Thank you guys again. I'll see you experts next month. And thank you for all of you for joining us. We couldn't do it with you without you, and we wouldn't want to. So remember that. Now get out and make somebody's day by saying, I love you, because I love you, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it. Have the best day ever. Thank you, experts, and thank all of you. Bye-bye.